Hello everyone and welcome back to Southern Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. As you guys know, it's the only thing that I ask. Now, did a big live stream on Tuesday. That's why I didn't post in the past couple of days. Next week I'll be traveling for work between Monday and Thursday. So basically I will be recording most likely on Tuesday on a different setup, and then on Wednesday again, but then Thursday no recording, and Friday I will should be back. You know, my last business travels before the retirement, right? I really hope so. A few things that I want to discuss. Finally, we're having some breather in the markets, namely the stock market. That 10-year yield is still very high, something that I don't like to see. As you guys know, TLT is below 90. This is also something that I didn't like to see. I think it was probably the biggest reason was the fact that Powell was saying that he was not in a hurry to reduce rates. As we all know here in the channel, he's bluffing. Of course, he needs to lower rates because the interest rate expense of the United States government, it's already the third largest item in the budget. It's already bigger than the military, closely approaching $1 trillion. And this gets worse every single day because as the debt matures, as the lower rate debt matures, it needs to be refinanced with higher interest rates, which means that this interest rate expense will only get worse with time, which means they will need to reduce rates. And this would be true either for Trump, either for Harris. Doesn't make any difference. It's a mathematical issue. It's not a bipartisan or a partisan issue at all. Debt is too high. The only way to survive it is very low interest rates, and then inflation will keep on coming down, and people will be shocked once again that lower rates does not mean high inflation. Go figure. This is true for the majority of the planet. China, UK, Canada, Europe, all of them are reducing rates for the very same reason. Now, the reason why the market reacts differently is because the market reacts on the comments of the Fed. So they take it as face value, but me and you know differently. And that's why we can see a little bit into the future that they don't. But this is why you then have some pullbacks. And by the way, those pullbacks are actually good because we had a 25% rise in the S&P last year, followed by another 25% this year. I mean, a 10-12% is already a good year. Now we are getting used to this 25%. To be honest, it's getting the feeling of the late 90s kind of ramp ups in terms of stock price appreciation. So it's also important that we stop, breathe a little bit. We know the game. Everybody predicts, the 90% crashes, but we know the only thing that's happening is currencies are getting debased all over the world, and as such, the price of assets goes up. It's not really anything different than the last 15 years. However, people, they need to understand, right? News sources, YouTube, they need to create topics to discuss every single day. So they always need to go around, fetch, here is the correlation between timberwood and tobacco in the 1920s, and this is why the stock market will crash in January 2025, right? And so this kind of crazy correlations, they don't understand the difference between correlation and causation, but that's for a different video. Now in the crypto market, Bitcoin still very close to 90K. Once again, we are diverging a bit from the rest of the markets because it's in our cycle to do so. There's not the reason why people say, it looks like sometimes we correlate with gold, and sometimes we correlate with the Nasdaq, and sometimes we correlate with this, and sometimes no. We have our own cycle. The other things have different cycles. So sometimes we match, sometimes we diverge. Depends on where crypto is in its cycle. If you look at the crypto cycle right now, and if you look at the crypto cycle of the Mt. Gox Ponzi, it's actually quite similar. If you look at 2016, 2017, and our current cycle is not that different in terms of yes, sure, the price appreciation has been stronger. There's no question about it. We did all-time highs sooner than, for example, 2016. All of that is true. But if you actually look at the flow of the chart, if you put, let's say, the chart of previous cycles with the chart of this cycle, they are pretty much identical, which means that altcoin season should start around mid-December, potentially early December, let's say in the first half of December. When I say it should start, I don't mean, does that mean that, altcoins will triple in a week? No, that means they will start to gradually, and more of them will start to outperform Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum is still down in the dumps. It's above $3,000. By the way, I think what would be very bullish for Ethereum actually would be to go down to 2,925, 2,950, somewhere around those levels, and retest, because there's very important moving averages over there. There's the 50 weekly moving average. There's the 200, I think the 200-day moving average over there as well. So it would be actually very bullish that if we would go to somewhere between 2925, 2950, retest it quickly, move straight up, that would actually be quite bullish. As I've said this in the Crypto 7's stream, I think Ethereum will be above $5,000 before the end of December. We'll see if I'm right. Maybe it's going to be in the beginning of January, who knows? But I do think Ethereum will start to pick up now in the second half of December, and I still see people all against it, which is great. This is what I want to see. Everybody is so consensusly, the consensus is so strong for Solana that I actually feel sorry for the Solana folks, because unless we are about to witness something never seen before, which is, all the consensus people, meaning the majority of people were all correct and the minority were wrong, which is something that never happens in markets pretty much. So if you tell me that for the first time we're going to see the crowd was right kind of moment, maybe. I mean, I'm not saying it's beyond any possibility. What I'm saying is it's a big wild bet. So, I mean, what I've been seeing is particularly the coins which are performing a bit better now are derivatives of Bitcoin, actually. Dogecoin was a derivative of Bitcoin, Litecoin, XRP, even Cardano. So, I mean, okay, Cardano is a bit different because of its presence closer to the US government, but in any case, those are the old school coins, if you will. They're all doing a little bit better. Pulse Chain and Ethereum remain unfavored by the crowds, which is great. That's what I want to see entering in 2025. Now, I need to talk about something, because this was one of the top signals, which was Coinbase download app. It hit number 8 very recently. It's not number 1, but it's still getting very high. This means, I'm afraid to say, retail is coming. Now, there's been a top signal in which when Coinbase hits number 1 and it stays there for like 2 weeks, that's the top. It has worked, I think, 3 for 3 so far. Will it work 4 for 4? Look, top signals don't happen in vacuum. So what I'm trying to say is this. When I was talking about bottom signals or top signals, they are not all the same in terms of importance. So, for example, is Peter Schiff saying crypto extinction a good bottom signal? Yes. Is it the strongest? No. What was the strongest? FTX going bankrupt is much more meaningful. Then you have other bottom signals, the crypto scam documentaries, the constant negative news on Twitter about crypto, the constant negative comments on X about crypto, CNN making broadcasts about how crypto is a scam, the Financial Times having it in its front page talking about the crypto scam. All of these are bottom signals. But what is the big one? FTX going bankrupt. Second bigger one, Peter Schiff saying crypto extinction, because he also said during the Japanese debacle, he said crypto graveyard, and that was also the bottom on that same day. It's amazing. So I'm starting to think he's starting to cope hard, but he's not desperate yet. So example of top signals, meme coins that hit $100 billion, but I'm talking about cycle 1, like Pepe that went from 0 to 100 billion. So that would be a very good top signal. What about Jim Cramer doing a meme coin special Sure, very good top signal. What about Peter Schiff almost crying with massive statements after massive statements after massive statements in tweet posts, in X posts? Also a good top signal. What would be like the big one? The US creates a strategic asset reserve for Bitcoin and will not sell any of the coins that has confiscated over the years. That's a great top signal. Now, if you would say, oh, we already have 200,000 Bitcoin and we're gonna, keep accumulating until we hit 1 million Bitcoin. Okay, maybe that's not the top. See what I mean, the difference? It's difficult to say. Are we in 2025? No. There are two things which are much more important than Coinbase download app. Although, what it tells me is that a lot of people are about to experience pain in meme coins, and I get the feeling maybe around meme coins in Solana. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, because meme coin just exploded, right? So it's time. So what does that do? And they started getting listed in Coinbase and in Binance. So what does that do? That attracts, by the way, I'm talking about my friends as well. People that know that I'm in crypto are starting to talk to me about meme coins. They don't even talk about Bitcoin anymore. They talk about meme coins, which means that this may be the first bubble, the first real bubble in meme coins. So if we're going to have a meme coin super cycle, the way that I would see this playing is meme coins have the first super bubble, let's say, then most of them crashes 75% and most of them don't come back. Maybe they do a retracement up to 20% away from the old new all-time high, and then they just fail and they go down. And some of them may do a second top, and that top will be very violent because all the people who are not getting all-time highs in the other meme coins will all jump into a few, and then that's the end. So this probably means Pepe at 100 billion market cap or plus, Andy 5 billion, Brett 20 billion, stuff like this. Dog with that, maybe 80 billion, or 60 billion, stuff around these levels. Yeah. So this I would see happening quite. I would say I wouldn't be surprised if that would happen. I think altcoins, as I've said, cycle 2 narratives, better layer ones than Ethereum, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. They pump later in the cycle. They pump aggressively in a short time period, but they pump later. So these would be your pulse chains, your pulse X's, all of these. This should be happening a little bit later. What I want to say as well is be prepared, because not everything will pump at the same time. There's going to be a time, yes, there's going to be a time where you cover your eyes, you pick a crypto randomly from a wheel, and that crypto is going to do a 10x, right? That's euphoria. I have seen retail coming, but I haven't seen euphoria yet. There's no LeBron James wanting to be paid in Dogecoin. There's no Dogecoin will be the official currency of Twitter. There's not the level of craziness yet that you had, for example, with Post Malone buying NFTs for $1 million and all this kind of crap. So we are still far away from it. Sorry, the two more important things as a top signal. Top. Number one, is the liquidity cycle to the max? Or is liquidity still rising? Liquidity is still rising, and it will rise well into the mid of 2025. Number two, has something so positive happened yet to crypto that it will most likely be the top signal? For example, Trump abolishes capital gains tax for crypto holders, not companies, holders. Will, at the same time that he builds the strategic reserve in which he promises never to sell a coin. Or he would say between now and September 2025, we're going to buy X amount of Bitcoin. Has that any of that has happened? No. So to me, the conditions for euphoria have not happened yet. And yes, there's going to be a time where basically everything goes up, including scams. Now, I don't think we're still there, and I think there's going to be, because the Fed is saying that maybe they don't do so many rate cuts in the future. I think you're going to see quite aggressive and fast rate cuts, if you ask me, but we'll see. Now, what I wanted to say to finalize this video, very important, not everything pumps at the same time. So for example, when Bitcoin was actually not doing that well, Hoppy and Andy are both part of the Matt Fury's characters narrative, but they belong to two different things. Andy belongs to the boys club, Pepe, Wolf, Andy, Bird Dog. Hoppy belongs to the Night Riders, Hoppy, Boppy, Draggy, and I think what? Yeah? Hoppy was pumping aggressively and did a new all-time high. So the old all-time high was around 80 million market cap, and then it went to 140 million market cap. And Boppy went from like 100K to $2.8 million. Now Boppy is around 900K, and Hoppy is around 80 million, which was close to the previous all-time high, which means it already had quite a nice move. Then the biggest holder of Hoppy sold all the Hoppy that he had, which is great because that means he cannot sell when the price goes up again. See, people always get it the reverse way. But the point being, Hoppy and Boppy pumped, I think Boppy pumped something like 30x, right? From 100K to 3 million almost. That's 100x, that's a 30x, sorry. And now they're experiencing pullbacks. During that time period, when Hoppy was at $140 million market cap, everybody in the boys club at Andy, for example, and Pepe, by the way, were upset that Hoppy was pumping and Andy was not. Now Andy is above 300 million market cap and close to new all-time highs, and Pepe actually went above $10 billion, while Hoppy was underperforming. Now, what am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say here is not everything pumps at the same time yet. Yes, there's going to be a time period of about a month and a half, 2 months where everything pumps, but we are not there. What I'm saying is during the bull market, not everything pumps at the same time. And you need to be okay with it. Because if you don't, and I've seen a lot of people doing this, when Hoppy was pumping, they jumped from Andy and the likes into Hoppy. And then Hoppy drops. And now Andy is pumping and they go back. So they just lost 35% of their stack. And I've seen a big wallet, they lost 35% of its stack doing this. This is so meaning that even people with large wallets will do stupid things like this. So it's not the problem of the dumb, small retail investor with $100. No, this happens all across the board. What I'm trying to flag to you is that I've said this, and you guys are my witnesses, you don't let me lie. This is the most dangerous part of the bull market. This is when people that lack conviction are not properly positioned, so they will deploy funds higher as the price goes higher, which shows no conviction, and most likely they're going to get caught in one of these weeks, and they will sell because they haven't endured the pain of corrections yet. They will try to chase the next big thing that's already had its big thing. So they will sell their gems for tops, and then they will see their gems pumping, and they will try to come back, and they will just chop themselves back and forth. These things happen in every cycle. So I wouldn't be surprised that there's a lot of retail coming from Coinbase. They buy the memes that have done incredibly well. They get chopped out. It goes a little bit further, maybe a 10 or 20x further. They think they are Warren Buffett. They are so happy. They start to talk to people about this. They have a big sell-off. A bunch of people in meme coins get completely annihilated. And then say, F it, I knew that it was bullshit, this is crazy, I'm going to get out. And then you have another bull at the end, and it traps everybody at the top. Very possible that this can happen. My point is, sometimes the most difficult thing is have conviction, sit on your hands, don't chase pumps, don't sell bottoms. These things are usually very hard to do all in once. But it is what it is. That's why only a few succeed. That's why I got in at ending 1.6 million market cap, and now I see it at 300 million. And it was not hard. It was not easy sometimes. There was a point where it was below 300k market cap. But if you don't have conviction, you're going to end up being sliced up and down, left and right, and you're going to miss the bull market. I've said this before. Bear markets are easy. You buy something with product market fit, you buy it at an 80-90% discount, you sit on your hands, and you go enjoy your life. By the time you come back, you had the 3x pump, you're all happy, and then even if it sells off across the way 25-30%, you don't care. But now it's the hard part. This is when people get left behind. This is when people get destroyed chasing pumps and selling and buying tops and selling bottoms every single time. And with that, thank you very much for your support, guys. Don't forget, I don't give you financial advice. This is my read of the market. This is my vision. You guys know about my logistics plan next week. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one.